What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on Get Up, they're going to be talking about Leonard Fournette and how he just signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Leonard Fournette on Twitter, the hashtag #GoBucks, giving everyone a first look at him in his new uniform. On any other day, this would have been our first story because this feels like an enormous acquisition for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we have D. Wood, and we have Mike Tannenbaum, and Shefty is with us, getting up early this morning. Shefty, let's start with you. How did this happen?
Basically, Greeny, from the time he cleared waivers, there were a few teams that were in touch with Leonard Fournette. Out in front was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The New England Patriots also made a couple of calls to Leonard Fournette to see if he'd have any interest in going to Foxborough. But
Yeah, Leonard Fournette says, I want to go play with the GOAT in Tampa Bay.
ultimately, Tampa Bay decided that it needed and wanted another running back to complement its stable of backs. And it pursued Leonard Fournette, and it certainly sounds like he wanted to go there, stay in the state of Florida. And there was a real push here from ownership in Tampa to go get this deal done. And they did last night. Agreement in principle, a $2 million base salary worth up to $3.5 million in incentives. And now they have another running back to add in to Ronald Jones, who I can't imagine is overly thrilled about the arrival of Leonard Fournette and some of the other running backs they have in Tampa, like Shady McCoy.
Yeah, so they have huge.
Yeah, so this is huge for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady and all of them. So let's take a quick look at Leonard Fournette's stats for last year. So he ran the rock 265 times. That's 7th overall for running backs. He ran for 1,152 yards. That's 7th overall for running backs. He ran for 3 touchdowns. That's 33rd for running backs. And he averaged 4.3 yards a carry. That's 28th overall for running backs. So needless to say, Leonard Fournette is a beast at running the rock, and this is going to make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers even more multi-dimensional with him. I mean, this doesn't make any type of sense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are loaded.
Names there, and obviously this is a big acquisition, and let's just take a moment to appreciate the delicious irony of New England trying to sign him and him choosing to go with Brady and Gronk and company in Tampa. D. Wood, how much of a difference do you expect this player to make for this team this season?
Well, I don't think Leonard Fournette puts him over the top, but I mean, he's clearly the most talented running back
Nah, he just might put them over the top because that team is stacked
on that roster. I think he brings an element of physicality that they don't have at the running back position. I mean, you look at Leonard Fournette, he's a physically imposing player, a guy that's improved in the passing game. He had he had the most catches of his career last year with 76, so he can bring something in the passing game as well. But Greeny, I think, look, first and foremost, you got to be able to protect Tom Brady in the passing game. But I think where he's going to find his value is those tough yard situations, running between the tackles, because again, they don't have a guy like that on that roster down in Tampa Bay.
Now they've got a guy now, and he's hungry.
Yeah, definitely. So Leonard Fournette runs hard like Derrick Henry, and he will definitely be able to get those 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2 yards, giving that first down to continue the current drives. So this is huge for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the New England Patriots really missed out because if they would have kept Tom Brady, I guarantee you he would have gone to the New England Patriots. But instead, he followed the GOAT and wants to go to Tampa Bay, where there's Gronkowski. I mean, this offense is going to be nasty.
And everything else. So Mike Tannenbaum, as one who made your living putting together teams, I look at what the Buccaneers have done this offseason, rebuilding what was already a very explosive offense. How would you describe what they've done and what they have?
Greedy, this has been a transformational offseason, obviously starting with the acquisition icon and Tom Brady, but you go right down the list. Rob Gronkowski, Shady McCoy, and then to put the cap on it last night with Leonard Fournette, there's a great axiom in football, which is pass to score and run to win. And they could do both when you think about Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, on and on and on. And now you have 4 good running backs. And let's not forget about Keyshawn Vaughn, a very underrated pass-receiving running back who had 66 receptions in college. This is a team that could do it all with an underrated defense, guys that can rush the passer like Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett. I see this team getting to the NFC Championship game at a minimum.
So you made a very...
So I'm going to have to agree with that, especially with the addition of Leonard Fournette. I mean, these guys are just looking stacked. And I don't have to worry about them not putting it together like how the Dallas Cowboys were stacked last year and they are this year, and they were only able to get to 8-8 if I remember correctly. And the Cleveland Browns that were stacked on paper, but they weren't able to put it together. I think Tom Brady will be able to apply all his weapons and everything he needs to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make a very, very strong run.
Very interesting point this morning when we were in our meeting where we talked about what this could mean for Brady, because football is a sport. We've seen this before. We've seen teams try to put together the quote-unquote dream teams, and it doesn't usually work in football. If Brady pulls this thing off, Mike T, what do you think it means?
Iconic status. This is LeBron James winning a championship with the Miami Heat, and here's why. Football is a sport of repetition, precision, and discipline. You have to throw all that out this year because we had none of it. If Tom Brady could put this team together, put him on his back, and win a championship in these very unusual conditions, he goes into a status of, I guess, maybe Michael Jordan's in that conversation. He's already the greatest of all time. But this brings them to a whole nother level. If they could cobble together a team, never practice, and then roll right into a Super Bowl, it's never been done before, would never be done again. It truly would be historic.
Yeah, D Wood, pick up on that thought. As far as their ceiling here, you don't see them as a championship team. I feel like the first thing you said wasn't put them over the top. What does it make them?
No, listen, I've said before that Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be one of the contenders in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl. I just don't think Leonard Fournette puts them over the top as being the favorite in the NFC.
How can he not? He adds another dimension to them. He's going to be adding 1,100 yards to their running game. So I don't know how Leonard Fournette cannot be putting them over the top.
But I agree with Mike T. Listen, if Tom Brady goes out here and win a Super Bowl, it puts him on another stratosphere. Because, listen, Tom Brady's legacy is already set. He's already the greatest quarterback of all time. Now you have to, if he goes out here and win a Super Bowl, now you got to talk about him along, maybe, is he along the Tiger Woods, the Michael Jordan, that type of level as far as.
Yeah, but he's already there. I mean, at what level would you put Tom Brady at right now if you don't call him the GOAT? I still think it's an argument between Tom Brady and Joe Montana, because Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw, they both won 4 and never lost. So would you rather win 4 and never lose, or would you rather go to 9 Super Bowls and win 6 out of those? Some people wouldn't want to lose. They take the 4 Super Bowls. But like I said, where's Tom Brady at right now in your ranking as being the GOAT? And if he wins this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how can he go any higher? He'll just be the GOAT. He'll be the GOAT. I don't know. Let's continue.
We talk about in sport.
Shefty, what are you hearing around the league from what they've done down there? I'm putting together, obviously, beginning with Brady and this team that they've put together. What sense are you getting from people around the NFL about the expectation for them?
Well, I think everybody is excited to see what this team can do, Green. And as we're talking about this and bringing up all these examples of dream teams, I think back to the mid-1990s or even before then, when we had the San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys constantly collecting talent to help them get to and win more Super Bowls. And then I think, again, in more recent times, to a team like the Eagles that put together a dream team, the Cleveland Browns last year we were talking about them the way we're talking about the Buccaneers. The difference is,
yeah, the Cleveland Browns played like trash last year.
The Buccaneers have Tom Brady. I want to add one other thing, Green, you just said this morning.